We all need meaning in our life, and so we construct various meanings and try to give us a sense of purpose and fulfillment. But when considered in the whole cold light of reality, all of our constructed meanings for living in this world are empty, vain, and meaningless. There is no constructed reason for living in this world that will not be annihilated by the grave. If you analyze your life in light of reality, you have to conclude that you are a condemned man, and your entire existence on this planet is like a man hurtling towards the earth, in free fall towards the earth. One day you're going to hit, and you don't know when, and you can't stop it, and you can't lengthen your time on this earth, and when you're gone, that's it. In fact, not just your life, but the entirety of human existence. Scientists have told us that the sun is a time bomb. One day it will implode, and when it goes, all human life will be snuffed out of existence as though it had never even been here. All the sum of human experience through the ages snuffed out like a candle, and no one there to remember it. Do you know when that happens? Nothing that has ever happened on this world will matter. It won't matter where you lived or what you did. It won't matter if you were a mother or a murderer. It won't matter if you marched with MLK or the KKK. It will not matter. You cannot change that. If this world is all there is, then our lives don't matter. We are all just pointless, accidental flickers in dead time. You have to see this. If this world is all there is, this is your life. And the only way you can live in this world is if you ignore it. If you live intoxicated with the temporary fleeting pleasures of this world, but if you step back and analyze, who am I and why am I here? This is the conclusion you must draw. Life in this world is a breath. None of it matters. There's a rub, isn't there? You know what the rub is? You know that's not true. You know that all of your joys and sorrows were meant more to be snuffed out from a meaningless existence. You know that the people you love are meant for more than just to be eaten by the worms as though they never existed. You know that there's a difference between a mother and a murderer. Some of you are upset that I even suggested that there's no difference between who you march with. That's because this chapter 11 says God has put eternity into your heart. God has stamped on his image bearers the knowledge of God, the knowledge of eternity. You know that you were made for more than this world. You know that you were made for eternity. You know you were made for God. And even the person trying hardest to suppress the truth about God and their unrighteousness cannot help but catch occasional glimpses of this reality, that I was made for more than this world. You were made for God, and only God can give you a meaning for this life. We're going to discover that meaning, but before we do, I just want to ask this question. You may be wondering, maybe the book of Ecclesiastes is really just given kind of as a book for skeptics, as a book for secular people, to help secular people see that living in this world, if this world is all there is, it's pointless, and you need God. That's true, and this book is given to help us see that, to help our secular friends and brothers and sisters and family members see that you need God. You were made for him, and he can give your life satisfying meaning and purpose. But I think another question that we should ask ourselves, if we are people who claim to know Jesus Christ, is we should ask, even if we say we believe in eternity, do we live like it? Or if we analyze our life and the way that we spend our time and our thoughts and our energies and our excitements and our passions, do we discover that all too often we live for this world and nothing beyond it? Because you know what the worst kind of life is? According to Jesus, the worst kind of life is to say you believe in eternity but live for only this world. That's the worst kind of life, is to say I believe in heaven and hell. I believe that I was meant to live forever, but then only live for this world. That's the worst kind of life. So even believers in Jesus Christ need this book to remind us that you were made for more, and your striving is meant to be directed to something more than just this world. You were made for eternity, and everything you do is made for God. That's the divine solution, so why don't we carry on and get to it? It's uttered throughout this book, but I think it's helpful just to turn to the end, to flip in your Bibles to chapter 12, and we'll look at verse 13. Here's the divine solution. You look in your Bibles to chapter 12 and verse 13. This is the summation of all of the analysis. Chapter 12, verse 13. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Here's God's solution. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Verse 14 is so crucial. God will bring every deed into judgment. Everything. There will be a judgment. You will live forever. You know, probably the assertion of the Bible that most bothers secular people in our world is the idea that God is going to judge everyone. And yet, this is some of the best news in all of the world, is that God is going to judge. If there is no judgment, there is no meaning to anything in this world. If there's no divine judgment, there is no purpose to life. But because there is a judgment, then every moment in this life matters. The judgment of God reverses the meaninglessness of this world, because you will stand before this God and he will bring every deed in your life into judgment, good or evil, secret or public. Every moment of your life is infused with eternal significance. There's gravity to every breath you take, every thought you think, every word you speak, every deed you do. Everything you do matters and will bounce through the canyons of eternity. That's who you are. You can't escape that. Now, you cannot get away from this. Everything you do in this life matters, because God will bring you into judgment. That's good news. So what do you do with that? Solomon sums it up in a word here, verse 13. Fear God. That's the whole of man. The word duty is added into our translation for good, smooth English. Kol ha'adam. All of the man, all of human existence is summed up in this word, fear God.